Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Bax here. Happy March. Just getting ready to get started with March Madness. Got my paper bracket in hand. You guys know that's the way to go. Paper bracket all the way. I'm recording this on Monday, day after Selection Sunday, and we got 5 potential Cinderella teams in this year's March Madness bracket. You see, I got my SoCon pullover on. Is there going to be a SoCon team in this list? You got to stick around and find out. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment. If we get to a good number, and you guys comment down below if you want my full bracket breakdown, Baxetology, as we might call it. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if you want that full bracket breakdown. But today, my 5 potential Cinderella teams. Starting us off, the 10 seed out of the East region, Drake. Man, I love this Drake team, guys. Tucker DeVries, he might be one of the best individual players in the entire bracket. Not just the region, not just out of the potential Cinderella teams, but Tucker DeVries, one of the best players in the entire bracket. Drake is going to match up with Washington State in the first round, and if they win that one, they get the winner of Iowa State and South Dakota State. Drake is 51st in overall efficiency on KenPom, 38th in offensive efficiency, and 75th in defensive efficiency. That matches up well with Washington State, who's just 42nd overall, 64th in offensive efficiency, and 27th in defensive. Man, if they were to match up with Iowa State, though, KenPom is really high on the Hawkeyes, so that one could be a tough matchup in terms of some of those analytics. But man, on the court, Drake is one of the best teams in the country, and actually they are the best team in limiting offensive rebounding. They are number 1 in the nation in limiting offensive rebounds. So that's going to be a really important factor for them. Their big man is Darnell Brody. They call him the USS Brody. That's a killer nickname for a big guy. He's really fun to watch. If you remember last year, Drake, they were matched up with Miami, only lost by 7 to a future Final Four team. So they have some experience playing in big games in the tournament. I think they're going to use that to propel their way to maybe a Sweet 16 berth. Like I said, guys, I really like this Drake team. And they beat that Indiana State team, a team that a lot of people were extremely high on out of the Missouri Valley. Indiana State actually didn't even end up making it because of that loss to Drake in the championship game. I mentioned a little about USS Brody, first team All-Missouri Valley, 17 points and 8 rebounds in that championship game. Tucker DeVries, the Missouri Valley Player of the Year, 27 points on 11 of 19 field goals in that Missouri Valley championship game. So he's gonna be so much fun. He could be one of those guys that you look back on in a couple of years and you just remember, just one of those players having a couple big time games to send the Cinderella on a run. And that's what you got with those offensive guys, man. Even if they were to beat Washington State and go up against Iowa State, he's one of those guys that late in the shot clock you just give him the ball and let him create something. And you always need one of those in the tournament, especially against really good teams. And I think Tucker DeVries is going to be one of those guys. And I have Drake going on to the Sweet 16 in my personal bracket. And they're certainly one of my 5 potential Cinderella teams here in this month of March. Next up on our list, we got a 12 seed James Madison, who's matched up with Wisconsin in the first round. If they win that game, he'd move on to get the winner of Duke and Vermont. Guys, really love this James Madison team as well. 31-3 overall, but get this. All 3 of their losses came in the month of January. That is an insane stat. Remember, first game of the year, they went to Michigan State and beat them on their home floor. Michigan State, one of the top 5 preseason teams, obviously did not live up to that. They are still in the tournament, so they beat a tournament team day 1 on their own court. That just tells you how good this James Madison team is. Terrence Edwards, the the Sun Belt Player of the Year, had a big time game in that championship game against Arkansas Little Rock. TJ Bickerstaff, also the SBC Newcomer of the Year. Although he didn't play much in that championship game, though. They got a big man off the bench, Jalen Carey. If that last name sounds familiar, it should. Vernon Carey, formerly of Duke. That's their big man off the bench, and he was a monster off the bench in that championship game. So that's another one of those guys. They have a somewhat deep bench they can call on behind Terrence Edwards, who has one of the best floaters in the entire country. The Dukes are 59th in overall KenPom efficiency, 56th in offensive efficiency, 79th in defensive efficiency, but Wisconsin's 17th overall, 13th in offensive, 47th in defensive. So that's some room to exploit in that Badger defense. They did go on a pretty good run in that Big Ten championship game, ended up losing to Illinois, but Wisconsin, one of the most up and down teams of the entire season, finished the regular season on a major skid. Got a little bit high, like I just said, in that Big Ten tournament, but man, just such an up and down team all year long. And I think James Madison, I think they have some of those pieces to match with Wisconsin. You can hold A.J. Storr down like Terrence Edwards can. If you hold A.J. Storr down, you can beat this Wisconsin team for sure. And James Madison, I like them going into the game or going into the Selection Sunday, really just no matter the matchup. But seeing that they got Wisconsin, that made me like the Dukes even more. I think I might even have them. Yeah, I have them in the Sweet 16 in my bracket. Ended up going up against Houston. So I'm really high on this James Madison team as well, guys. I love all 5 of these Cinderella teams. This is what it's all about. Obviously, you can't end up picking all of them. That would be a little bit crazy. But man, you can certainly talk yourself into all 5 of these teams. And James Madison, just another one of those teams that I'm really high on. Next up on my list, we got a 13 seed here, Charleston, from my home state, College of Charleston, matching up with Alabama. Guys, is this going to be an up and down game all game long? Fast pace. I wouldn't even be surprised if it's over under ended up closing in the 170s, 180s. That's how fast paced of a game this is. Charleston, as I said, matching up with Alabama. If they win, they'd get the winner of St. Mary's and Grand Canyon. 27-7 overall. 99th in KenPom's overall efficiency, 58th in offensive, 176th in defensive. So that matches up a little bit there with Alabama. They're 13th overall, 2nd in offensive, 112th in defensive. In a key area, like I said, the tempo. Alabama's 9th in adjusted tempo, Charleston 59th in adjusted tempo. So 2 of the fastest paced teams. Cougars are going to want to play at the same pace that Alabama does. So if they just knock down a couple more shots, as Alabama will give up a lot of shots, if the Cougars can knock those down, they're certainly going to be on pace for an upset there in this one. Pat Kelsey, their head coach, one of the best coaches, or probably the best, in my opinion, he is the best mid-major coach, and he's really on the edge of getting a big-time college job. So I think this could be a potential win to get him over that edge, get him his first tournament win, and give him that next head coaching job. So Pat Kelsey and the Charleston Cougars are certainly one of those 5 potential Cinderella teams. Moving down my list to number 4, it's a 13 seed Samford, who matched up with Kansas in the first round. Still a couple of unknowns with Kansas, whether Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough could play. Neither of them played in that Big 12 championship or their only Big 12 tournament game against Cincinnati, the game that they lost. And Samford is a big-time pressing team. They are one of the best pressing teams. They'll do so to sort of mask some of their half-court defensive deficiencies. They're 116th in defensive efficiency according to KenPom. So not a great half-court defense, but they will turn you over like all business. ETSU had 19 turnovers in that SoCon championship game. That's exactly what Samford's going to want to get onto you. So if Kansas doesn't prepare well and practice this week, if DeJuan Harris has a tough turnover game, it could be certainly one of those teams to go out in the first round. But Chor and Riley Allensback, those are their 2 big guys. The Chor first team all SoCon here this year. Riley Allensback, a very good freshman big man off the bench. Chor had 15.8 points per game on the season. Rylan Jones and A.J. Staten-McCray, 2 other third-team all-conference players for the Bulldogs. And like I said, Kansas, with those 2 injuries, they already had a lot of depth issues. So if one of those guys were to not go, man, that really opens the door for Samford as another bright young head coach. And the Bulldogs could be another one of those teams to go on a Cinderella run here, a double-digit seed, potentially moving on to the Sweet 16 and maybe even further. The winner of this game will get the winner of Gonzaga and McNeese. McNeese, a team that a lot of people are high on. I'm not so high on them. I don't have them in my list, but certainly a team you're going to want to do some research on. Will Wade and those boys matched up with Gonzaga in the first round. And now to my fifth and final team, a 14 seed Morehead State. And guys, let me tell you, this is the biggest headache of the entire bracket for me. I absolutely love this Morehead State team, but also I love their matchup, Illinois. I was I just really enjoyed watching Illinois on their route to the Big Ten championship. But Morehead State, like I said, matched up with Illinois. The winner of this game gets the winner of BYU and Duquesne. Morehead State was 26-8 on the year. But this is an interesting stat right here. The last two Big Ten tournament champions have lost in the first round. Iowa and Purdue last year. So Purdue last year, Iowa the year before, and the year before that, the first tournament after COVID, it was Illinois who was the Big Ten tournament champion. They lost in the second round. So Big Ten tournament champions since COVID have not had a lot of success in the early rounds. So remember that if you're on Morehead State here in this opening round. Morehead State 111th in overall KenPom efficiency, 124th in offensive, 120th in defensive. So a very, very well-rounded team. Illinois, not as much. A great offensive team, third in overall offensive efficiency, but not a great defensive team. 93rd in defensive efficiency. Just gave up 85 points to Wisconsin in that Big Ten championship game yesterday as I'm recording this. So they have some holes in that defense. Morehead State, the issue with them is who is going to guard Terrence Shannon. They have a lot of really good offensive players. I'm not so sure they have someone who can lock up Terrence Shannon, but if those Morehead State shooters get hot, it could be lights out. They are perfectly built around the Ohio Valley Conference Player of the Year, Riley Minix, who averaged 20.8 points per game and 9.8 rebounds per game. He leads the country in made field goals and had 26 points on 10 of 16 field goal shooting in that championship game. They made 16 threes in their semifinal win over UT Martin and then 9 threes in the championship win over Arkansas Little Rock. They lead their conference in defensive field goal percentage and a great rebounding team. And if this name Morehead State sounds familiar, it's because they've had some success in the tournament before. Remember Janai Broome a couple years ago before he transferred to Auburn? And even further back in 2012, Kenneth Fareed in Morehead State went on a little bit of a run. So they have some of that run, that Cinderella team DNA deep in that Morehead State. And then Riley Minix, if you guys get the chance to watch him, or if that game is one of the games on the TV on Thursday, or I think it's Thursday. Yeah, they play on Thursday. So if you get a chance to watch that game on Thursday, keep an eye out for Riley Minix. He's a really, really fun player to watch. A NAIA transfer, actually. Went straight from NAIA to D1 for this last year, and he's making the Morehead State scouts look brilliant. Like I said, the Ohio Valley Conference Player of the Year, one of the best mid-major players. Another one of those guys you could look back on in a couple of years if this Morehead State team goes on a run and think of that guy. Riley Minix is going to be that guy, and those shooters around him, man, if they get hot, it's going to be scary for that Illinois defense. So those are my 5 potential Cinderella teams. Morehead State, Samford, Charleston, James Madison, and Drake. 5 potential Cinderella teams. If you guys like this video, tomorrow I'll have my 5 potential championship winning teams. That will be another really, really fun video. So I hope you guys like, comment, subscribe here to this video. Let me know what your favorite Cinderella team is for this season. And we'll talk to you guys next time right here on Bax Talks Ball.